Good morning, everyone. I'm Corinne Caro. Welcome to the Daily Blue. I'm here with my co-host, Brittany Winter, whom I love. And we're here with a dynamic duo today, a mother-daughter team for a hearing company in Nassau County. And I'm just so excited for you guys to be here today with your beautiful smiles. They work together, and we're here to chat a little bit about what they do and what makes it work, and about your hearing company, right?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
Thanks for coming. So you guys are the leading audiologists in Rockville Center, in my opinion. That's off the record.
I like to think so.
And you guys own and work for Audiology of Nassau County, correct?
Correct.
Founded by
Founded by
Dr. Barbara Rosen when?
1986. And I think I told you I had a 2-year plan. I was either going to pass or fail. And thankfully, it grew and grew and grew from a small cubicle of an office to a larger office. And then, luckily, Stefanie decided to join me in my practice. And we've grown into a much larger space. And
It's beautiful, your space.
Thank you, thank you. It's great. And I have to credit my daughter because she had the vision and she had the talent and the eye to make it look really beautiful.
Now, every day you work together. Mm-hmm. Every day. And how
day.
wonderful is that to see your daughter every day? You guys have a
It's wonderful.
It's wonderful. But we do feel that we don't see each other enough during the day.
outside of work?
No,
or?
even in the office, and that's a good
that's a
thing.
good thing.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
it means we're busy, and
Yes.
her door's closed with a patient, and my door's closed with a patient.
It's not 5 in the hallway?
Yeah, and sometimes it is. We'll run it in the hallway or at the water cooler, we're making our tea, and then goodbye, gotta go. And
I just love that.
for me,
The
I think-
ideal thing for me is not only to have my daughter in my office, but to have my daughter and her family in my home. So now we're together 24/7
Right.
for the next
few more weeks.
few more,
till we-
yeah.
till we
Oh,
move
And it's
out.
going to be so sad.
When they leave, right. Well, you're a certain type of mother. You just don't seem overwhelming, sort of like everybody loves Raymond type of mother. You seem very caring, just very nurturing and easygoing.
She's a
We're both
wonderful-
easygoing,
She's a
which makes it
wonderful
easy.
mother. She's a wonderful grandmother,
thank
and
you.
as an audiologist, she's a role model. She has such high clinical standards for herself and her practice and her product. And
We'll just go on and on.
Yeah, this is
so
wonderful.
at Audiology of Nassau County, how is it that you have been this warm and sweet woman, and you're little, you're so adorable, and yet you have this incredible, growing, thriving practice? How do you?
Part of it is, as Stefanie had mentioned, it's a vision. It's the vision that you treat people the way you would want to be treated, how I would want my family to be treated. And so the idea is, and it's a lost vision, that the patient is always right or the customer is always right. And so when people come in, you try to listen to everything that they say, and people feel validated. And that's really important, because if you're not validated, you really don't want to be involved with the person who's trying to help you. So. So that's kind of the mainstay of the practice, to be kind and considerate, caring. Unhurried. Let's give these people the time they need, and try and listen to all of their issues, including, their eye problems. You'd be surprised the things that people want to share, that either their internists or their specialists, they're not that interested. It's their very narrow scope.
They're not listening.
Yeah.
So they need you. You're a sounding board.
Well, what's interesting is that then transfers to interventional audiology, because it covers a lot of different areas in terms of healthcare.
Yeah, if you can't hear, your ability to interact with people is compromised, and the research has shown and proven that untreated hearing loss leads to social isolation,
Lots of
leads to
things.
depression, cognition decline. You're not stimulating your brain as much.
What about dementia? Is there any link to hearing loss and dementia?
Absolutely. There have been research studies that are connecting brain shrinkage and dementia to untreated hearing loss. If you think about it, our brains are what hears.
Yeah,
not our ears.
Article by Dr. Lynn
Yes.
at Johns Hopkins, who has made this study. I think it's a longitudinal study about dementia and hearing loss, linking the two.
Yeah,
So.
our ears are just the mechanism to bring the sound to the brain, but the brain is what's hearing. The brain is what's decoding and deciphering all of the messages, all of the sounds in our environment. And if our ears have damage and can't bring the message to the brain, then there's, to a degree, a loss of stimulation in that area.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the things that you see are like evoke thoughts in your mind, and
Exactly.
same thing with hearing, things that you hear all the time.
The problem also is that hearing loss can affect marriages and family life
Because women are throwing the remote at the husband.
I get so mad at my
a
dad.
lot of angry people out there, and we could decrease that. That anger if we
Yes.
could just get people to admit that they have a hearing problem.
Right, well,
the
that's
first
part of the
step.
problem.
Yeah.
First
Right.
step.
As you
Right.
know.
Like any problem. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I have to ask you both. This was not your first career choice, Stephanie.
No.
You didn't grow up saying, "Wow, look, this mother who's just so sweet and beautiful and successful." You went down a different path.
I wanted to be
And then it occurred to you.
Right. I wanted to be like my mother in every single way possible, except ears and hearing and touching people's ears, and I just I just didn't want to do it.
Right.
I had a different idea for myself and my career, and I went to school and I studied international relations, and then I did a master's in that, and I was working in the aerospace and defense industry.
Wow.
I was in a completely different direction
Way off.
until and then one day, actually not one day, but over time I started to crave change, and I realized that I wanted to help people, and I realized I wanted a little bit more direct connection with seeing a difference in people's lives, and I started to think about who I knew that was happy in their fields, and I could think of
Wonderful.
one person.
I like how she put it. I want to find people who don't mind going to sleep on a Sunday night and don't have butterflies in their stomach, and they wake up not stressed on a Monday morning knowing that they have to go to business.
Right.
And I love waking up on a Monday morning and going to work.
Oh, I love it
So I
much.
spent time shadowing her, and I went back to school and I got my doctorate, and
Proudest day of my
with
life.
with a small baby, and I was still working in aerospace when I did that. So it was very challenging and very demanding. But at the end of it all, I knew
this
that it
now.
was worth it, and it certainly was. There's not a minute that I would ever regret doing that.
I love it. Now, what about you? I mean, did you have a mother to emulate? And
That's an interesting question. I would say that my mother was a terrific mother.
Yeah.
She was a stay-at-home mom for a long time, but then when my brother and I were both out of the house, she went back to work full-time. And in those years, it was unusual to women, because it was probably in either the late 60s, early 70s, when she went back to work full-time. And I said, gee, this is interesting. This is a housewife who decided that she needed more in her life, more
Right.
stimulation. And
Right.
yeah, so she
So you
was a
did
good
have
role
some of
model.
that, right? I love it. Now, but then I didn't hear the word audiology from your family dynamic. So how did you get into
How
that?
did I get into audiology? Good question. My father had hearing loss.
Okay.
Probably, we think it was from his World War II
Really?
excursions.
Wow.
Yeah, he was in the Air Corps. Yeah, in the Army Air Corps. He had some interesting reconnaissance.
Right.
So he's telling me that the planes were just so noisy.
Right.
And then he had some medical issues. So we think that's what, because he has hearing loss in his 40s, which is an interesting, I mean, I didn't, and my mother didn't, but our family has a history of hearing loss.
Wow. So then that led you to studying it further? I mean, does that have anything to do with your passion for helping veterans at Nassau?
That came to us, and we both said that is just such a wonderful way to give back. So we didn't really solicit it. It was something that came through channels,
Right.
And it seemed like such a wonderful way.
Jumped at the chance. Normally,
Yeah.
the veterans were treated at the VA,
the VA.
and then the VA needed help,
Right.
and so we said, we can help. We're here to help. And so we had to go through their process to make sure that they knew that we could handle their requirements, because obviously the military has different requirements.
And I remember what you were telling me, it seemed extremely extensive and a lot of work and
a lot of-
certifications.
Exactly. A lot of time.
Yeah, to be qualified
But
and
worth it.
certified. Yeah.
Worth it. Happy to help.
Yeah.
But now you're not just treating the elder community. You also treat from every age. And again, prevention is part of resolving issues or preventing issues that are further down the line, right?
Yes, and we also tell every young person or any age patient who has normal hearing. I always say, and they always laugh, I say, keep up the good work. When they come in and they have normal hearing, make sure that you protect your hearing, because you get one chance. Right now, there's no surgery and there's no pill that you can take to repair those damaged hair cells inside, deep inside the inner ear. So we need to keep the noise down. I tell parents who have children who are using earbuds, if you can hear their music, it's too loud.
Yeah.
And we encourage a lot of our musician patients to consider getting musicians' earplugs, which are tuned so that they can hear their music properly. It's not damped by the plugs in the ears, and they love them because it makes such a difference. It tones it down without losing the quality of the music.
Wow, I didn't know that they had that.
They have that, and it's like taking the volume on the stereo and just turning it down.
Oh,
All
wow.
the relationships, all the sound fidelity is preserved. Just takes it down a little bit. But for people who don't want to go through that process of getting custom musicians' ear protection made, even those squishy little things that you can buy at the drugstore, keep them in your purse. I tell guys, keep it in your pocket. If you know you're going to a concert or you're going someplace noisy, they're better than nothing. They're helpful.
Good for when men snore, too.
Exactly. or I used to, when
Or
I would change
roommates
the
in
smoke
college.
detectors, when I would reset the smoke detectors, I'd put them on and everyone in the house, because it's loud.
Oh,
and-
it's very
Oh,
loud.
it's so loud.
Yeah.
And you have to preserve what you have.
Yep.
Right. So before we wrap up, I just had one more question. How often should someone go to an audiologist to get their hearing checked? Is it once a year, twice a year?
And what
do you-
age? What age should you start?
Well, anyone who thinks that they may have a problem should see an audiologist. I would think that we would both agree anyone age 65 should have a baseline.
Because the statistics show that 1 in 3 people over age 65 will have some degree of hearing loss, whether
Right.
they recognize it or not. you know,
Right.
but probably a good idea to have a baseline. How often do you need to have your hearing? That's an interesting question, because there's no consensus on that. My feeling is if you sense that your hearing has changed, if you've noticed that you're turning the TV up a little bit louder, if your family is making
You're saying, "What?
making you
What?"
aware,
Right.
yeah, then it's time to get another test. I don't advocate for getting it done every year.
Okay.
I just think that because insurance is paying for a lot of these tests, and a lot of it is
Take advantage of it.
Well, but you don't want to take
You
don't
can't
want
be too much.
Yeah,
Right,
They
yeah,
won't pay for
exactly.
it.
Right.
Not excessively,
right.
but
Sure.
it's good to know.
Well, we told everybody at the beginning of the session that this was a dynamic duo, and Stephanie and Barbara, I'm so thankful that you came today. We learned a lot about hearing. You're obviously gurus in the hearing industry, but just your dynamic and your family dynamic, the mother-daughter relationship, I envy it, and certainly I wish I had it, and hopefully I will with my daughter. So thank you for joining us today. I'm Corinne Caro on the Daily Blue, and we've been visiting with Audiology of Nassau County. And tell everybody, please, how to get in touch with you.
Well, you can find us on our website, www.audnc.com, or call us 516-ALLHEAR, all here.
And you have some very interesting tweets, so look them up on Nassau Audiology is the handlebar, and you'll find out more and more information about what they're doing, Rockville Center info, Nassau County info, and of course, hearing info.
Yep.
So thank you for joining us, right, Britt?
Thank you for having
Thanks
us.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for having me as your interviewer.
It is always about Brittany, which I love. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll see you soon.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.